Hello, beautiful people. My name is Anna Grace, and I love cooking, and I love all things creative. That a good way to make use of my time is to share some of what I do when I'm home. Because I do a lot of cooking, sometimes it's nice to feel like someone is in the kitchen hanging out with me. So I thought I would just take you guys along for the process. Tonight I am going to be making some French onion soup. I've never made it before, but for whatever reason, I've been getting a craving for French onion soup. So with that being said, I have a lot of chopping to do, so I might as well get into the video, and I think that we should start it off by pouring a glass of wine. So I just got this Pinot Grigio from Kroger. It's Kim Crawford Pinot Grigio. Hopefully it's a good white wine, and cheers. Okay guys, the white wine, it's approved by me. I am by no means a wine connoisseur. If it's not a good wine, I don't know, but I think it tastes great, and it was only $10, so it's pretty good if you ask me. But I am all prepped and ready to go. I've washed my hands, and I'm just gonna take my rings off and get to chopping. Like I said, I have never made French onion soup before, so obviously I had to pull someone else's recipe online. I found this recipe. It seemed easy enough from past the salt.
We're making French onion soup.
I will link this video to the description in this video if anybody else would like to make it. I will do my best to also talk through the process while I'm chopping everything and prepping everything, but I am new to this whole video making, so you know, I'm probably gonna need some practice to get better at it. So cheers everyone, and let's get started. I am a firm believer that any time you're chopping, you should always have a bowl for trash. So I have this bowl right here that I'll put the trash in, and then I will chop a little bit at a time and then just put it into my Dutch oven as I go. The recipe calls for 5 to 6 yellow onions, and I have these really tiny ones, so I'm probably gonna say 2 of these is 1 normal red onion, yellow onion. So say that's 2 right there, so like 4 is 2, and then here's a big one, so we'll call that 3, and then 4 is like normal size, 4. I discarded the other onions that I'm going to put back in my fridge later on, and I'm just gonna put all the onions I'm using right here so that I have them right in front of me. And I, for whatever reason, I don't like to have everything on my chopping board when I am cutting everything up, so I just feel like it's more manageable if I just have a few things on here at a time. So I'm gonna start with this giant onion that has already been peeled a little bit. Right now I'm just peeling the outside layer of the onion off, and I am like peeling 1 extra layer just because it was exposed, and I don't know, it grosses me out a little bit, but I don't want it to go to waste. So yeah, just peeling an extra layer. And I usually dice onions, so let me look at this video and see how she cut them.
Welcome to the 8th and final day of my cozy soup series, and today we're making French onion soup.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna do this the proper way, but I think that all of the onions just need to be cut in like a julienne cut. So I cut them in half, and then I'm just gonna cut it the way that I think you're supposed to. They end up looking like that, you can see. I just put glasses on to see if that helps keep me from crying so much, because I have literally only cut 1.5 onions and I'm already a mess. Like, my nose is running, my eyes are watering, so maybe it is actually helping. I feel like it hasn't been so bad. Maybe that's a trick. Maybe that's like a known thing to wear glasses to help when you're chopping. When you're chopping onions, and I just never knew this. I am trying to chop them pretty thin. I don't love a huge piece of onion. I know that I'm going to cook these down like as much as possible, but I'm still just trying to chop them really thin as well. Wow, I have never chopped so many onions in my entire life. So I have this huge thing full. I don't know how well you can see that because the camera's far away, but yeah, I have this huge Dutch oven full of onions and my eyeballs hurt. But those glasses actually did help a little bit, so maybe I'll just have to do that in the future. I am also supposed to add 4 cloves of garlic, but unfortunately I forgot to get garlic cloves at the store, so I have a little bit of minced garlic left in here, and I am just going to use what I have and pour the rest of this in here. It might be somewhat comparable to 4 cloves, but it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, maybe that's... depends on the size of the cloves, I guess. Okay, here I have 3 tablespoons of butter. I should have added that at the bottom of the pot, and I probably should have melted it before putting all the onions in, but it's fine. It's fine. The recipe also calls for 3 tablespoons, yes, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So it's not a tablespoon, but let's just call it that. 3 of these. Okay, looks good. Let's get this on the stovetop. Okay, welcome to my stovetop. So I am going to go ahead and turn this on, and I am just going to cook everything down for about 45 minutes until I have a lots of caramelized onions. I'm also adding here 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and then 2 teaspoons of sugar. Here are my almost raw onions, and I will show you what they look like once they're all cooked down. While everything cooks down, I am going to cut up this focaccia into like crouton sized pieces so that once we're done with the soup we can put them on top and then put cheese on top of the croutons and broil it all together in the oven. I still have about 25 or so minutes left, so I'm just stirring every couple of minutes on the stove. So here's some focaccia that I baked a few days ago, and I had it in the freezer. So I'm not sure if it's totally thawed yet, but hopefully this ends up being perfect for the top of the soup. It's a pretty good loaf. Look at all those holes. I'm not gonna worry too much about things being uniform. I'm just doing pieces like that, this big. Okay, so this one, I feel like that's too big. So I'm gonna cut it in half. Okay, that loaf of focaccia made a huge bowl of croutons. So I am gonna bag this up and then I'll use some of it for this batch of soup. I am gonna freeze a lot of this because I know that I'm not gonna use all of it for this batch, and I think it will still be good if I take it out of the freezer and use it for other soup, because I eat soup a good amount. So I'm just gonna set this over to the side, and it's still pretty soft because this is a relatively fresh loaf of focaccia. So I'm honestly just gonna let it dry out and not cover it for a little bit. I know that they're not gonna dry out that quickly, but I'm just gonna set it aside like this, and I am gonna work on grating the Gruyere cheese for the top of it. So
What are you doing?
I'm making French onion soup.
French onion soup.
Yep. I just finished grating all of the Gruyere cheese to go on the top. I got a little bit lazy at the end because it started crumbling, and I kind of just... I have some pretty big chunks in here, but it's fine. It'll still melt on the top, I'm pretty sure. So once again, I'm gonna set this aside while everything else finishes cooking, and then I'll put this on at the very end and broil it on top of the soup. It is a little hard to shoot this to show you the color just because of the steam, but I think we're almost there. I am just gonna let it cook for another 5 or 10 minutes before deglazing and adding the beef broth. But so far I have been cooking this for longer than I expected. I thought it would just take 45 minutes, but it has been about an hour. Okay, I think it's looking perfect. This is why I use a tripod, because I do not have very steady hands at all. I am going to prop my camera up and then add the last few things and then let it boil for another 30 minutes. Here is 2/3 of a cup of white wine, the one that I opened up earlier. Adding this here, and I'm just going to stir this and use it to deglaze. There are a few things in the recipe that I am just not going to add in. There's Worcestershire, however you want to say it. It calls for some Worcestershire sauce, but I don't have any, so I'm just not gonna put it in. It also calls for some flour, but I am gluten-free, and I feel like it'll thicken up enough on its own. So I'm just not gonna add any flour. So I've deglazed. I'm gonna turn the heat up to about medium now. And I just got 2 things of Swanson beef broth right here. I'm gonna shake these up and then add these in. 2 of these containers is 8 cups total of beef broth. I just spilled it. Okay, and last but not least, for the next 30 minutes, I have 2 bay leaves. About like 2 smaller sprigs of thyme, and then I think this was a teaspoon of rosemary. And I'm just gonna let everything cook together. Once it's done, I'll take out the 2 bay leaves and the thyme. But I'm getting very excited and very hungry. It's past 9 o'clock and this is my dinner, so I'm really looking forward to eating. Oh my goodness, this seriously smells amazing. Right now I'm just removing the 2 bay leaves and the sprig of thyme with my little kitchen. I had an onion stuck there, but these are just my kitchen tweezers, if you want to call them that. Come in handy a lot, but this looks absolutely incredible. I will show you how it's looking. So there's no doubt that it would be much thicker if I had added the flour, but I still think it's gonna be so delicious and I can't wait to eat dinner. I'm gonna put you back up here so that I'm gonna set my oven to broil. Please ignore how full my recycling bin is right there. I do have you sitting on top of an old-fashioned oats. I do have you sitting on top of an old-fashioned oats container because my tripod is unfortunately too tall to sit on my counter. I am just gonna use this dish right here. This is one of my granny's old dishes, so that makes it special. Here I have my soup ladled in, and I am just going to add some of these croutons that I cut up earlier. And I'm so excited. This is a huge bowl of soup. I wish my boyfriend Tanner were home because he would help me eat this, but I will just put any leftovers in the fridge and I'm sure he can eat them tomorrow when he gets home. My oven is preheated to broil and I'm just gonna top this with the shredded cheese so that I can put it in the oven and melt it until it is like a golden brown on top. Okay. I am just going to put this in the oven and keep an eye on it so that the top of this doesn't burn. Oh, it's hot. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Okay everyone, I am so excited and I'm also really hungry because it's now 10:15 p.m. and I have a regular work day tomorrow, but I just really wanted to film this video. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Hopefully it's cool enough to eat. I sat it out on the table. I can't talk because I'm so tired. I sat it out on the table like a little under 10 minutes ago probably. Okay, it's really hot. I'm gonna have to edit that first bite out. I think it was a little rough. Okay, this is really good. It was definitely a decent amount of work just because of all the chopping and because of kind of having to babysit it compared to other soups. But the flavor is so good. And I'm really glad that I put my homemade focaccia croutons on it. And just the way that everything was broiled and browned on the top. So perfect. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching my first ever video. As I said at the beginning of this, my name is Anna Grace and I am just starting this channel to show more of the fun things I do in my life, whether it's cooking in the kitchen, doing my nails, whatever creative things I feel like sharing and making videos of. So if you would like to see more of that, please like and subscribe to my channel to be notified when I post new videos, and I hope you enjoyed it.